Hey there, boys and girls. It's your internet's creepy uncle, your old pal TrollBeard here. Today's a solo episode. Our cohorts at Best in the Realm is currently watching his young son, and Blackbeard Bob is out being a young man out at a concert, having fun with his wife. So we're gonna sad, lonely old man do this episode today, but I'm gonna bring myself a nice companion I have named the whiny internet person that repeats whatever the internet media says about video games. Say hello. Well, hey guys. Shut up, stupid. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this nice, short, and simple tonight. Go over just a few things I've been doing today. Doing the past few weeks. We missed last week. Things were crazy. Can only do so much. We're terribly irresponsible people. We're barely adults. But video games are cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and switch over and start talking about what I've been playing. So the other day I gave Far Cry New Dawn a shot. Playing this on the PS4, the primary thing I do most of my gaming on. And wow, this is just a lot more Far Cry. This is Far Cry 5, but with a smaller map and a new wrapper. I don't know what more to say. It's got a nice idea. They're trying different weird stuff. But man, it's like I don't feel that they commit far enough. The only cool, weird, post-apocalyptic thing you get is the first gun that has you craft a saw blade launcher that bounces off of things and kind of auto-targets enemies. But other than that, it's Far Cry 5 again. I mean, I didn't think that game was the greatest. Has some cool stuff. Picking up where this game, starts is pretty directly after the end of Far Cry 5, which just highly accentuates what I didn't like about the story resolution and how they completed the story of that game. But spoilers, that game ends in a nuclear apocalypse, and how it gets there, why it gets there, what the fuck you were doing at Hope County in the first place. That's the stuff that's boring. That's the stuff that's stupid. But hey, shut up, stupid. Stop talking. Alright. Anyway. Yeah, man, the map looks cool. They have beautiful foliage. Some odd, weird-looking animals that are just weird, reskinned, oddly textured versions of everyday normal animals. So, like, albino deer with weird pink horns. There's a giant, like, glowing radioactive bison I ran into at one point in the game. Had a weird glowing stomach that was its weak spot. Basic stuff. They added some odd RPG gating bullshit that's not very severe, nor does it reward anything. There's only 4 levels in the game, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are really only affected by the level of the gun you have. So you start off with level 1 weapons that do essentially nothing to level 3 or 4 enemies, and take a while to kill level 2 enemies. Basic, super small, super baby's first RPG steps. I don't like the shooting that much. The longer I've played more of these Far Cry games, the more and more I realize the old-fashioned console first-person shooter mechanics of super heavy-duty magnet, aim assist targeting, and wonky, super enclosed FOVs to, perform as well as it does and look as good as it does for, a system like this. That same thing makes the driving really rough. The driving mechanics work great, but man, you can't see a goddamn thing. And some of the vehicles in this game now add roll bars and grates in front of it because it's, Mad Max type nonsense. So that reduces even more of your visibility. Yeah, this game is just boring. I mean, yeah, there's enough cool stuff in there, and they do some neat, fun things here and there. But it really is just like, oh, hey, Far Cry 5 without the odd bullshit. Shoot it with the bliss bullets. Knock them out. We're going to capture them. All that weird stuff of randomly being abducted and monologued at. That's not in here. But none of the characters seem that cool. They don't have as many dialogue options from what I could tell as Far Cry 5's companions, which weren't that many in that game either. So any of the human companions are loud and annoying. Carmina is the first companion you can carry around. And do you like the density of some of the foliage in some areas and the positioning of some enemies? One of the very first big fights I got into where she was my companion was like, they're over there. I was like, where, bitch? Because I had forgotten that through my playtime of Far Cry 5, the character Boomer, the dog, would automatically target people and mark them so I could keep track of them. The humans don't do that. So you just hear a character not gesturing, not looking in a direction, just saying they're over there and doing absolutely nothing to help you find out where this random person is unless they start shooting at you for you to get a hit marker to know what direction you should be looking. I don't know. It's just, this game feels rushed. It's only $40, but even then I can't recommend anybody spend $40 on this personally unless you just really, really absolutely need to kill some time, or you want a fairly okay co-op experience with your friends. It's perfectly fine. But man, I don't have time for fine anymore. I don't think I'm going back to it. I played a solid 4 hours the other day, and I just hit that hard realization that this is just more of the same. And I didn't see enough to encourage me to go back. It's neat. Some of that stuff looks great. I love the color palette. I love the style. But all this makes me do is realize how much more I want to play Rage 2 and how little I care about where the greater Far Cry world is going. Outside of that, another mediocre game. I gave Crackdown 3 a shot. Boy howdy, is this game fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. This game feels like a bad fan remake of Crackdown 1. They just found a fucking checklist of everything that should be in a Crackdown game and just filled out the list. Like, oh, hey, there's orbs. But no, they're not really, placed in smart manners. They're not... The platforming part of looking for the agility orbs isn't as smartly placed as the first Crackdown. But they got shooting. Well, it's the exact same fucking shooting from Crackdown 1, which means hold the left trigger, it locks onto an enemy, and then hold the right trigger until they're dead, and just keep jumping and moving. The basic premise of what Crackdown is, an old-ass game is old. I mean, there's fun here to be had if you can shut your brain off and not think about it, and you get that nice, tingly, rewarding feeling of finding orbs. But man, it looks like shit. I was playing on a regular Xbox One S, not a launch Xbox One, not an Xbox One X. A lot of the textures in some menus wouldn't even load, on time. There's a overview screen I had of all the bosses of the area that you're trying to go take out to slowly work your way to the big boss and take over. Some of the skin textures of the little mini figures on this screen, which is literally only 9, I believe, not that many of these characters, their fucking textures weren't loaded in, so they look like just muddy little figurines that you could barely, make out what the fuck they're supposed to be. The weapons don't do anything really interesting. They have all your basic, assault rifle. There's a cool little burst rifle, basic pistol. The giant magnum pistols, like, still as good as it ever was in the first game. There's a bunch of, like, beam weapons. So one does, like, frost damage, one does energy damage, one does poison damage, but that's it. Same gun, same style of shooting mechanic. They just changed the color of the numbers it's doing damage with. Terry Crews is in the game. They don't use him much. You can tell he was a late addition. So even though Terry Crews is fun and entertaining, the moments he has in this game, it's horribly disappointing. I was so hoping that they were going to do the world's greatest debate. That in the intro of the game, you have this scene of seeing all the agents on this flying plane going in trying to stop the blackout attacks. Some evil corporation here that's running this island set up this like EMP or whatever attack on the rest of society or the areas around the world. Not necessarily everything, but they fucked shit up and built up their home base to actually be cool, to have refugees come in and control the population. So in the intro scene, Terry Crews gets to be Terry Crews. He gets to do his little dance, say his wacky shit, be charismatic and fun and interesting. He's got a giant rubber duck tattoo on his arm. Don't fuck with Daddy Duck. Like, that's okay. I guess that's a joke. That's cool. It's fun to hear him say, quack, quack, motherfucker. And then literally mid-sentence, the blackout attacks happen. And the ship that he and the other agents on explode, and you see them all get ripped apart, and they die. And the amount of joy I had for a brief moment thinking, did they seriously just use Terry Crews to market this game and then kill him within the first 2 minutes of this game? What fucking legends. That would be fucking the best thing ever. And then they just regenerate your agent character because they're respawnable DNA constructs, I guess. And then I was sad because all the agents, essentially do nothing different. They just accrue experience at different rates from different activities. So there's no real incentive to not play anybody other than Terry Crews, because at least Terry Crews you get some jokes out of occasionally, but he doesn't really say much as you're going about out in the open world. The agent doesn't say much. Occasionally you see these weird little hologram things that will pop up, and you'll see Terry Crews' character, Commander Jackson, say some stuff, but even then, that's few and far between. This game's like super short too. Like, you can complete this game in a day. Like 8 hours at best. Like, what the fuck took this game so long? I mean, I don't want to insult anybody. The game operates, it functions. You can play it start to finish. But why did this game take 5-6 years? Like, there's nothing here of value. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. If you find this super basic loop of goofy shit, it's fun. Yeah, go ahead. But I would tell you to go fucking play Saints Row 4 if you want to see them actually do wacky shit with superpowers and cool things and give you a reason to actually do fun things. This game is just jump around poorly, auto-target things, maybe punch a thing here and there, but realistically you're just holding the left trigger, holding the right trigger, looking for orbs. That's it. There's nothing much else. And man, it's tragic. I checked out the Wrecking Zone, which is the multiplayer, which is just like 5-on-5. There's no party system, so you can't like jump into the 5-on-5 multiplayer with your friends. You just randomly matchmake with 4 of the randoms and another 5-man team. so that you can't even like have the dumb, stupid fun with your friends in the multiplayer, which is not great. It's 2 modes or 3 modes, 2 maps. I want to say 2 modes, 3 maps, something like that. It's not a lot, and there's some destruction, but the destruction is so trivial. It's like, oh hey, you're just jumping around in midair. Hold the left trigger to lock on. Hold the right trigger to shoot the guy, and hope he doesn't jump behind cover. But then just keep shooting because that cover will eventually break and fall over, and then he's got to jump and run again. It's like, wow, it's fucking terrible. Man, I wish everybody at Sumo Digital the best. They've done some cool stuff over the years, and clearly this game was severely troubled. The company that was making all the cloud computing stuff, CloudGent, got bought up by Epic Games a while back. So even the original guy who started the franchise, who started that company, he left the game. I believe Sumo is maybe like the second or third like primary developer that had been working on this project. This is just a big pile of hey, at least they got it out. Do you want to kill a weekend at best for a game you probably got Game Pass on? If you bought this game at retail, I'm sorry. I am sorry you had to go through that. This is a horrible purchase in general. Like, I personally, if I didn't already subscribe to Game Pass, I would not even have used the $2 trial period they were providing at the time of this game releasing. I don't know if that deal is still available. $2 for your first month. Even then, if I knew what this game was after having played it, and I had the option to pay $2 to try it out, I still wouldn't. I can't even recommend it at that. It's fucking terrible. Another game I checked out, there was a demo for a game called Daemon X Machina on the Switch. I am an old school anime dork, and this is some Gundam ass bullshit. And I was like, cool, let me give it a shot. Looks like it's going to be a big fun time. No, this game is also kind of bad. It's just really generic, straightforward, and simple. There's some dumb anime picture scenes with dialogue. You're just like this agent coming into this mercenary group to pilot a mech to do different things. But really all you do is you spawn into these little domes of activity. You fly around, you shoot the enemies, pick up stuff, get out of that mission, and repeat. Again, this is another thing where like you move your reticle, and it's not crackdown bad of just hold one button to stay locked on. You've got all 4 of your shoulder buttons, like your L, your R, your ZL, ZR, your shoulders and trigger buttons, do your different weapons. So the 2 on the left do your left arm and left shoulder weapon. Same thing, right arm, right shoulder. But as you move your target reticle in a certain range, you'll see the big circle on the screen here if you're watching this. There's a big, healthy, fat circle here. As soon as you swing that around enemies within your range, they get a little red lock-on box. And then you just press the button for the attack, and it automatically shoots at them. There's pretty much no skill there. It's like you see the red box, you hit the button, the enemy dies after you fire at it a few times. I guess because of the way they worked the triggers to be all the weapons, you have your jump button to go up to fly around, but you have to click the left stick in to go down. And because the left stick is kind of inconvenient to repeatedly click all the time, I guess in their design process thought, you click it and it automatically goes down. It's not just a drop a little bit, drop a little bit. No, it just is continuously boosting you downward, and then you have to hit jump to cancel that and start going back up. Like it feels awkward. There's dumb little semi trucks that pop out a little bubble of healing you can go to. Your enemies you fight, the other mechs on these maps, these bad AI enemies that are just spawning out in waves. When you kill them, you can loot their bodies to get a piece of gear. Oh hey, they had a cool sword, I'm going to steal their sword. But you can't equip that until you go back out to the menu, go to your mech, to your garage, switch it over, equip it. I don't know, man. It's just some weird story about ancient AI fighting, trying to take over the earth and causing all the destruction here. And you're just, it's just fucking generic anime bullshit, man. The game, like the mech stuff, doesn't even feel that good. Like it moves slow. Textures pop in horribly when you start to go fast. The little tank here enemies, they're just goofy trash. There's little floating drones. They just like shoot damage at you. Tiny little bullshit. Man. Talk about a trailer that kind of looked cool. And then immediately, as soon as I played this demo, I was like, well, saving my money there. My previous weeks of gaming have not been the greatest. They've been very mediocre. I have been playing a lot of mediocre nonsense. And that kind of hurts. I want every game to be cool. I want every game to do well. But man, I just can't recommend this unless you just really want to see some goofy anime weeb bullshit. I can't recommend this game. I also checked out a game called Pool Panic. Close out all this nonsense. This game was cool. I got this on the Switch. This is a hardcore puzzle game. You're cue ball, you roll around, you position, you fire your shot. Different balls do different things. So some balls are scared of you pointing at them. Some balls, like the big gray ball there, like you point at them, they freak out, and they squat. And when you shoot them, they become like a hammer, like a thwomp from Mario. They slam down and destroy everything and knock everything back. There's some little dinguses that run away when you aim at them, and they'll hide behind other balls. So then you gotta bounce them off of other. You've got to hit another ball to bounce them into the holes. Later on, I came across some luchador, some big burly armed creeps. Let me see if I can't find them. Yeah. But yeah, you've got little timers as how fast you get all the balls in the hole, how many strokes you did it in, if you accidentally pocketed yourself before you sunk the 8-ball. I love the aesthetic. I love the goofy charm. There's some cool humor there, some cool weirdness, some fun, cool music. But I was not expecting this thing to ramp up as fast as it did into full-on. Like, no, this is a puzzle game, bro. You're going to have to lock in and go at this. So I plan to come back to this in the future. But, man, as soon as I played a few things, and then I get immediately to this level that's a campground, and there's buses full of the little balls pulling up. And then I start to sink them, and then another bus shows up. And then there's another whole other list of balls that react in different ways. I'm like, man, I am not of the mood, the mindset right now to think this critically about positioning my cue ball and throwing guys in the holes, finding the holes in the first place, not sinking myself, not screwing it up. I recommend this game to anybody that wants a good, fun, thoughtful puzzle game on the go. But man, it's so weird. The design process in this is just so odd. Like the little red balls are basic little enemy guys you just knock around. You wait for that guy to freak out. The big thwomp guy. He knocks everything back, which can, screw you or do you well. Cool. Video games are cool, man. It's good fun times. Cool. Video games are cool, man. Man. I feel so tired right now. So what happens when you take a nice long nap and then get up and realize you should have stayed asleep. But hey, it's podcast time, boys. Playing tons of Apex Legends. The game's awesome. I need to stop playing it for a while if I want to get caught up in more of my backlog. This stuff's ridiculous. Every time I think I'm starting to do well again, I'm like, cool, Resident Evil, we're going through that. Cool. This game, that game, cool, working on this. And then another one of these games pops out. It's like, well, fuck, I'm going to lose hundreds of hours to it. But I think that's it. Any of the news stories I want to talk about, I kind of feel like an asshole if I'm just sitting there shouting about myself. And I'm really looking forward to, in the next few days, having some time off to really get out there and sleep, for one, get that energy back. Two, finally do my B-side playthrough on Resident Evil. Maybe play a few games of Apex with the boys. Try out some more stuff on my backlog. Maybe get started on Symphony of the Night. And start working on doing more of this, doing this more regularly, doing a news podcast I really want to talk about, and planning out when I'm going to be able to do that properly and do it with the right energy to not just be here, sleepy old fat man boring everybody. I want to thank everybody for listening to this. If you came in, stopped by, said hi, if you hear this in the future, normally I'm not going to sound like this head cold and low energy. I'm normally a loud, creepy fuck that is occasionally humorous. But I want to go ahead and end it here. Remember, you can find all this stuff at futurevillains.com. Check out your boy at Best in the Realm and at Blackbeard Bob on Twitch. Bob is Doug Theme Song on Twitter, at Doug Theme Song. I'm always, at TrollBeard with the _. Find me on Twitch, Twitter all the time. And I wish everybody the